emails to our connected website have been aimed at the media. Surprise, surprise. Some say the media is too liberal. Others say they're too far to the right. Like Sandy, who writes, our media has skewed so far to the right that it takes bloggers to do the work that true journalists used to do.
But Richard says the bloggers are changing the way we get our news. What the liberal media does not seem to get is that the public is more informed today. The age of unverifiable propaganda is now past. Well, we've been talking a lot about blogs and bloggers today, but how do you know which ones to trust? We did a little experiment today, taking a look at the left-leaning bloggers and their friends on the right. Several are gathered this week at the Conservative Political Conference annual gathering in Alexandria, Virginia. Here at the Bloggers' Corner, they typed their thoughts on a speech this afternoon by the president's point man on politics and domestic policy, Karl Rove. Did the bloggers get it right? You be the judge. Here's what Rove had to say about the president's re-election victory.
There was no trimming on the issues, no campaign conversion, no growing in the office, no backing away from Social Security and tax reform. This president consistently stood for what he believed, said what he believed, and made it clear to the American people that he would act on what he believed.
And here's how blogger Erick Erickson with Redstate reported it. Rove says the president laid all the chips on the table, didn't back down, championed a culture of life. Rove plainly says the president does what he believes. Over at Winds of Change, here's what Robin Burke had to say. Rove stresses several themes in a tightly written talk. The overall message, liberty here and abroad, rests on personal freedom and responsibility. Here's what Rove said.
We've seen elections take place in Afghanistan, the Ukraine, among the Palestinians, and in Iraq. In 113 days, more than 100 million people living on 2 continents have cast free votes in nations that have never known democracy.
Joining us now is Erick Erickson. He writes for Redstate.org.
Also with us is Robin Burke. She's a blogger who attended the Karl Rove speech this afternoon at the Conservative Political Action Conference. Her blog can be found at windsofchange.net. She joins us now from Washington. Robin, a lot of bloggers are very partisan. Can the non-technorati kind of person go out there on the web and find really good journalism, I suppose, in the blogs?
You can, actually, and there are a couple different ways you can start. There are several places that rate blogs, but there are also some criteria you can look for. Look for a blogger who backs up his assertions by links to original material. Look for a blogger who gives both points of view, even when it's clear what his own beliefs are. And look for a blogger who's consistent over time.
Erick, you know, we ran this little experiment today, and I know both you and Robin were at Karl Rove's speech this afternoon. And we took a look at the tape, and then we took a look at bloggers like you and like Robin and what you had to say about the speech to see if you were accurately representing what Mr. Rove had to say. And generally we found, yeah, you did. Is that, by and large, the truth out there in the blog world, or do you think that is that the exception or is that the rule? Is most of what we find out there on blogs accurate, or is most of it the other way?
Well, I think a lot of it comes through a certain partisan tint for both on the left and the right. And I think there's a disparity out there that's growing between those who will accept someone at face value and take them for what they mean, and those who see sinister motives in everything they do. And I think the majority of the blogosphere would accurately depict what Rove said, but I think there are a lot of people, you know, on a lot of the partisan Democratic sites right now who will see everything he does and everything the president does in a very sinister motive that isn't really there.
Robin, do you agree with that most of what's on the blogs, the reporting may in fact be good and solid, but then it's colored, the commentary is colored by a political agenda?
I think it depends on what the blog intends to be. At Winds of Change, we try to take a fairly centrist point of view. We have a wide variety of points of view among the team. Redstate.org, Erick's site, has a different intent. It's a partisan site, and so you're going to expect a little bit different slant and a little bit different approach to what they consider worth writing about.
Erick, can you explain to people who might not know exactly what a blog is? I mean, these aren't news organizations per se, are they?
And hey, Ron, that was you and me before we started this program.
That's right. Well, it's still me.
A blog it's short for weblog. It's an online journal. A lot of software developments have taken place in the last few years with the explosion of the internet and high-speed access, and a lot of people who wanted to have their voice heard and to get out there and add their thoughts took advantage of the software and started these weblogs, blogs, and really take advantage a lot of times in near real time their views on politics and policy and their day-to-day lives as well. It's an exciting forum for people to share internationally what goes on in their lives.
Robin, basically this is going to be some guy in his basement. You know,
that was my next question too, Ron.
Where's the accountability there?
Well, I'm a proud member of the Pajama Hadeen, so let me get that straight up front. The accountability is to the wider community. We don't have editors checking out what we do ahead of time. Instead, what happens is what we put out there is out in a free market of ideas, and if it can't stand on its own, if we say something that's not true, if we fail to back things up, if we slant things very obviously, then a lot of other bloggers are going to tear that apart, or even worse, make fun of us.
Eric, what is the best way to determine which blogs are more accurate than others?
Boy, that's a tough call. I think, number one, it depends on what you're looking for in the blogs. Are you looking for someone who shares your views, or are you looking for opposing views?
Yeah.
And then really, you've just got to get in there and dig and see, as Robin was saying earlier, check to see if they link. If they're just throwing things out there like a lot of bloggers do, and there's no veracity to it and there's no verification, then you can really doubt those. One of the best places to start is probably Instapundit, which generally, Glenn Reynolds, a professor, he links to a lot of other people. It's a great way to experience a whole host of blogs.
Well, you guys are going to leave it there, but thanks, Eric and Robin. Up next.